One more time again. You're on mute, Prabhu.
Oh, sorry, Maharaj, sorry. Sorry. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I welcome all of you to His Holiness Candramauli Swami daily class. Thank you very much for joining. As we are continuing Shrimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, that's Punishment and Reward of Kali. And we will be continuing with verse 23. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhupada, my obeisances.
So I will be sharing, Maharaj, this.
Yeah, we're continuation of this theme of the discussion of suffering between the great personality of religion in the form of a bull and Dharma, and also Maharaj Parikshit, the king of the world, a great Vaishnava. You'll have to make the letters a little bigger. I can't even read them. They're too small.
Sure, Maharaj.
A little bit bigger. A little bigger. There you go. That's perfect. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Atava Deva Maya Ya. Nunam Gatir Agochara. Chetaso Vachasas Chapi. Bhutanam iti nischaya. Translation. Thus, it is concluded that the Lord's energies are inconceivable. No one can estimate them by mental speculation or by word jugglery. Purport. A question may be raised as to why a devotee should refrain from identifying an actor, although he knows definitely that the Lord is the ultimate doer of everything. Knowing the ultimate doer, one should not pose himself as ignorant of the actual performer. To answer this doubt, the reply is that the Lord is also not directly responsible for everything is done by his deputed Maya Shakti, or material energy. Material energy is always provoking doubts about the supreme authority of the Lord. The personality of religion knew perfectly well that nothing can take place without the sanction of the Supreme Lord, and still he was put into doubts by the deluding energy, and thus he refrained from mentioning the supreme cause. The doubtfulness was due to the contamination of both Kali and the material energy. The whole atmosphere of the age of Kali is magnified by the deluding energy, and the proportion of measurement is inexplicable. Umagyan timirandasya gana janas salakaya. Chaksun militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Sri Chaitanya manobhistam staptitam yena bhutale swayam rupa kadam mayan dadati swam padati. Wow, Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasnaya Bhutale Srimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharini Nivasisa Sunyavadi Pastyatya Desatarine Vanchakalpatarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Vacha Itanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Sivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in reference to the preceding discussion, which culminated in the last verse, that the personality of religion in the form of a bull was asked by Maharaj Parikshit, what is the cause of all of your suffering? We can see that you have been abused, and who is the perpetrator, and what is the reason? The bull, personality of religion, refused to answer directly, and for many, many verses, he made conjectures based on different philosophical teachings, which speculate on who is the actual, or what is the actual cause of suffering. And we went through a whole gamut of possibilities. And then finally, in order to conclude the reason why he didn't directly say, he said, actually, it cannot be understood. And Maharaj Parikshit understood everything deeply. And he said, yes, no doubt you are the personality of religion, because you're saying that those who identify the perpetrator also receive the same amount of sinful reaction as those who are the perpetrator. And here Prabhupada mentions that in the first line, he said, question may raise why devotees should refrain from identifying the actor, although he knows definitely that the Lord is the ultimate doer. So we still are, what we say, dealing with this principle of what is the cause of suffering. It still comes back to that part. And so there still hasn't been a conclusive answer yet. And the answer will start to slowly emerge within the next few verses. But the point here is that because the material energy is so strong, especially in this age of Kali, material energy is Krishna's diluting energy, which gives one the wrong understanding of life, that happiness comes by sense enjoyment and by performing activities for personal gain. That is the basic principle of material energy. But Kali, because it's the age of Kali, there is an emphasis on the delusion. And therefore, as it says here, the contamination is multiplied by this particular age. And as that contamination continues, the quality of people's ability to decipher what is actually truth becomes less and less and less, because sinful activities and the diluted energy take a prominent position within the life of the conditioned souls. And people are led around just like a dog is led around by a leash by his master. So Master Maya has got everyone on a leash, pulling them different directions for various types of sense enjoyment. And therefore, but the whole thing centers around, well, ultimately behind everything is Krishna. He's the ultimate cause of all causes. But here it's mentioned, and Krishna also mentions that in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that I am not the cause of anyone's happiness and distress. And so he basically says that everything works under my material, external energy, which he is the author of and both the director of. But at the same time, the energy works according to certain laws put in place by the lawmaker himself. And people, if they plug into the proper activity, that is called piety. And if they plug in the wrong activity, that's called impiety. And so there is a concomitant resultant action according to the quality of action and the desire, which was the force behind the action. And so you see a variety of results by various types of material activities. Still, the answer doesn't come until we actually go deeper into it. But people like to blame the Lord for everything that goes wrong and like to take credit for everything that goes right. Yeah. Or sometimes they say when things go right, that is God's grace. And when things go wrong, then where was God's grace? So they have different reasons based on their own experiences. But experience doesn't give you the answer. It just puts you into the situation where you can kind of get so much absorbed into the activity itself, you can't see how it's happening and what is the results of the activity. That's Maya itself. But the personality of religion didn't blame the Lord, although he knows nothing can take place without the sanction of the Lord. And still he refrains from mentioning the Lord. Because to blame the Lord or for our material suffering, or even to give credit to the Lord for our material gain, both of them are wrong. I'm a little reluctant to jump ahead and give some further explanations on this same part, because these are the verses will come up in the next few verses. And the question is that nothing can happen without the grace of the Lord, but still there is the independence of the living entity to choose how to act, or when to act, or when not to act, or when one should not act at all. In other words, the individual has freedom. But freedom is not necessarily 100%, because conditioned nature forces one to think and act in a certain way. So even though we have the ability to choose in our situation, our intelligence and that ability, the capability of that quality of ability, is influenced by our previous activities. So the tendency is to follow a certain pattern, and that pattern pushes one in the same direction, and one starts to get locked into a whole cycle. Now, the desire to get out of that cycle doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen initially when one desires to get out, because the influence of one's past activities pushes one in the same direction. A good example would be if you're driving in the car and you're going 50 miles an hour and you come to a sharp turn in the road, you're forced to slow down in order to make the turn. If you fail to slow down, you'll miss the turn and go in the same direction you're going in. In other words, you'll have an accident. So the thing is, we have to slow down on our material life in order to pick up a way of activity that is beneficial. In other words, our spiritual activity. If we're still going full speed in our material activities and expect that all of a sudden I want to change to something better, something different, it may not happen. We are products of our conditioned nature. Therefore, one has to purify. That's why the tendency of material desires is to push one in the same direction. But a desire to change simply has to be supported by an atmosphere of change, wherein one can automatically get the support they need gradually to move forward away from that tendency to commit sinful or wrong activities. Otherwise, it'll continue in that way, at least to some degree. So slowing down means to slow down our material life and gradually move towards the spiritual energy. And as we connect with the spiritual energy, we speed up in that energy, And then we move nicely through that energy. And then we get the tendency in the same way to act spiritual rather than material, because then we become reconditioned according to our nature as spiritual beings. So one has to be very diligent if they want to change their life to something better. It's not so easy. The best way is through association. Through association, one gains insight, one gains inspiration, one gains knowledge. That inspiration is saturated with the knowledge we need to move towards pure devotional service. So it's all centered around association. But outside of that, the whole Maya Shakti is very strong. And sometimes we think, oh yes, I'm not attracted by Maya, I'm not affected by Maya, but that's Maya's laughing when you think like that, because she knows how much the conditioned soul is attracted and affected by it. Because she's a pure devotee. Therefore, she has very great ability to cover and delude the living entities to think opposite to what is actually being played out in their life. She can also make one think that I'm making spiritual advancement when at the same time one is moving in the way of material attachment. That is Maya. So one should not estimate the power of the deluding energy. Therefore, association with devotees is the protection from the influence of material energy. Association with non-devotee is the inspiration to go more and more towards material life. So everything depends on association. There's an old saying, tell me who you associate with and I'll tell you who you are. That's not simply an understatement, it's true. We get affected by our association. Unless we are really on a high spiritual platform, then we affect others by our association rather than the other way around. So Maya is strong. And when I use that word, not in a very loose way, she is very strong. She has two potency. One is called the throwing potency, and then the covering potency. She tries to throw one outside of the realm of devotional service. And once she's successful in doing that, she makes one think that material life is actually life. That's the other part of that potency, throwing and covering. She covers the living entity, makes them forget. Even if they had performed devotional service for many years, she makes them forget how wonderful it was and how happy they were in devotional service. They can't remember that. And even if they do, they can't understand it simply by the power of remembrance. So therefore, one should be very careful in executing devotional service, not to get trapped in the material energy. And the trapping is that one thinks that I am the doer, and therefore I am the controller. One is not the doer, one is not the controller, one is simply being controlled either by the spiritual energy, the Daivi Shakti, energy of the Lord directly, or the Para Shakti, or the Apara Shakti. The Apara Shakti is the material energy. So one is not free. One is either under one of the two energies. And based on the desire, that energy works to bring that person closer. So we should always desire devotional service. We should always desire Krishna. We should always desire to learn more in our relationship with Krishna in devotion. And that will free one from the effects of the diluting energy that insulates one and isolates one from the material cone. And Maya can't throw that person outside of devotional service. She may try, but she will never be successful. Okay, we can speak a lot about the material energy. There's a whole book that was written by one of my godbrother. Yeah, well, he's actually a disciple of Jayapataka Swami. He is a great soul. His name is, let me think of his name. His name is, he's in Mayapur all the time. He's a sannyasi. And he's written one book called Maya. I forgot his name. What's his name? Who knows?
Is it the slap of Maya?
No, the name of the author.
Oh, the title is Slap of Maya. That's Krishna's spiritual master. Kartikabu. Oh, he's not
Sannyasi in Mayapur.
Oh, okay. Then I'm not thinking about that.
Disciple of Jayapataka Swami.
Is that Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj?
You got it, Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj. Thank you. Yeah, so he's written this book called Maya. And if you want to really learn about Maya, of course, it's all there in Prabhupada's books, but he's condensed it down into one subject matter within the pages of this one periodical called Maya. It's a book you can find a lot of interesting understanding is how, because if you don't know how the material energy works, you'll get trapped by it. You have to know how she works. And there is a law she follows. And there's a way to prevent us from getting trapped by Maya when we actually see the workings of Maya coming upon us in one form or another. And one has to know, as it says in the scriptures, one has to know truth and untruth side by side. So go for the truth, avoid the untruth, but we have to be able to distinguish between what is truth and what is untruth. Because many times untruth will look like truth. And truth may also, in certain cases, look like untruth. So knowledge is the key to becoming free. Without knowledge, transcendental knowledge, philosophical knowledge, which leads to transcendence, then the living entity gets trapped by the workings of the material energy. The book is on Amazon. Divine Energies Premium. It's called Maya. The book has the cover, right on the cover in big letters, M-I-Y-A, Maya. Maya means what is not. And it's called the divine energy, as Krishna says, Daivyesha, Gunamayi, Mamamaya Daratyayai, Mamye Prapadyante Maya Etam Tarantite. Daivyesha, that energy of Maya is divine because it's coming from the source of divinity, which is Krishna himself. But she's very, very powerful. And Prabhupada used to somewhat reprimand us by saying, the problem with you Western disciples, he would say that, is you don't fear Maya enough. And that's something that we have to think about. Fear, the devotee is fearless, but he also fears not getting trapped again by the material energy. That's called a healthy fear. A healthy fear, that fear which causes us to act in a way not to get trapped by Maya. And that comes by two things: association with senior devotees and reading and studying Srila Prabhupada's books. And of course, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj, for this amazing and wonderful class and three key takeaway. I request devotee, if you have any questions, comments, realizations, please unmute yourself. You can also type in chat window. And also request everybody, if possible, then please switch on your video. It's always nice to have proper connections through video with Maharaj. So, yes, Shri Devi Mataji, please go ahead.
Thank you, Vrindavan Nath Prabhu. Please accept my most humble obeisances, Gurudev. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So this purport is really giving me a lot of questions, Guru Maharaj, because it says material energy is always provoking doubts, and that is true because we can get so easily misled by the material energy. But here, it is the personality of religion himself who is speaking. So how is it that he, after knowing perfectly well that nothing can take place without the sanction of the Lord, still how can he be put into doubts by the deluding energy?
He's not in doubt. He's just playing that role to bring out this discussion, because just to immediately answer would take away the whole possibility of the quality of his answer, because ultimately there are many great scholars, religionists, sadhus, who have a different understanding of the principle of how things happen and why they happen and how they happen to a particular person and when they happen to a particular person. Even Krishna doesn't go into the details because he says the intricacies of karma are too difficult to understand. Therefore, even Krishna explains karma in a very simplified way to get a basic understanding. Why does a person become born in a particular family with a particular set of, with a particular level of intelligence, with a particular country, particular gender? Why is everything done so specifically and so exactly? How can you understand that? How can you, even if you were able to see, say you could see a person's past lives, you still couldn't figure out why they got a body, a particular body in the present life. It's not possible. The laws of karma are too intricate and too complex, too diverse. So, yeah, therefore, in answering the question, who is the cause of suffering, the personality of Godhead gives so many possible answers that are considered to be popular amongst religionists, philosophers, and others, just to bring out that it's such a diversified subject matter. Well, yeah, but yesterday we heard that one who identifies the perpetrator gets the same reaction as the perpetrator. So now we're going into that topic a little bit more. And then it comes here and saying, ultimately, Krishna is the cause of all causes. He orchestrates everything. But then again, no one can blame Krishna for whatever happiness or distress they get. Because he says, I am not involved with that.
So then if we go according to that, that we should not identify the perpetrator, then why do we have court system? Why do we have justice? Why do we have lawyers fighting injustice and things like that when something goes wrong?
Because people who do wrong activities need to be punished for their wrong activity. And therefore, there's a system of what we say, correction, punishment given by God through the material energy, given by the state through their different laws and departments of justice. That has to be done. So, yeah, but the person who it's being done to doesn't see that person who was the perpetrator as the reason why it happened to them. There's another reason that is not seen. That perpetrator, as Prabhupada said, do not be disturbed by the instrument of your karma. Do not be disturbed by the instrument of your karma. And so there's much more to it, why that happened to you in that situation and how you process that.
But that still does involve naming the perpetrator, putting up a case in the court. It involves identifying the perpetrator. And I understand the principle is to know that this person who's done it, he or she is just an instrument. If not him, somebody else. This was going to come my way anyway.
But if you were to say that in court, the judge would laugh, because everything is seen up front the way it happened.
But so when we identify the perpetrator, say in a court case, then are we doing the same, going to get the same reaction as the perpetrator?
Probably. I would say yes.
Going
Because
by that, Shastra.
That's the law of nature. But we leave it up to the authorities.
The court is Maya.
Yeah.
But you don't see it.
You can't align material laws with spiritual activities. It doesn't, there's two different ways of seeing things. The material is cause and effect. Spiritual is that the cause and the effect are separated by other factors.
So that means the devotee on a day-to-day basis, living his daily life, he needs the guidance of the spiritual master even to maybe file a court case or fight against injustice. It is not so straightforward as to think, oh, this thing happened, so I will go and fight against it.
Yeah. That's a choice you have to make. But the reason of the court case is not so much to get something on a personal level, but to help implicate the person who was the mischief monger, so that mischief monger doesn't continue in his wrong way of doing things. It's a very, like I say, I can't really give a clear answer because it's so complex. But you have to take the words of Shastra, try to understand it from that point. So if somebody does something wrong to you, you might decide not to do anything to retaliate on a legal level. We have the example of the Mormon, not was it the Mormons? Not the Mormons, the what's that group in America? The Amish. Amish. So the Amish, I spent 6 hours with them, with a group of devotees. We went to see them. We learned about their religion. They practice a type of Catholicism that comes out of Germany. And they follow that. They don't believe in government. They don't believe in any of the amenities that material society. They live very primitive. They're farmers. They when they have to build a house, they all come together as a community, and they can build a house in 2 days. They can build a barn in 3 days. They're very community oriented. They have their own schools. So one day, one man who was delivering milk to their community, he was from the outside, and he came in to the girls' classroom. There was all these young girls. They were about 11, 12 years old. And he had an automatic rifle, and he just started shooting all the kids. This was a big story. And of course, a lot of the children died. And then the person was easily captured. He went crazy. And so the authorities said to the Amish, you want to press charges? They said, no, we forgive him. Although many of their own children were gunned down by this crazy man, they didn't take any retaliation action because they were moved by the compassion of the Lord. So you might question that. You might question that. Were they sentimental, or were they following a certain principle of not blaming the person for the perpetration? It's interesting. That was a big news. That happened about 8 years ago in America. So they didn't, and the man was so overwhelmed with, I don't know, he couldn't believe that they didn't do anything to him. And therefore he was given some mild sentence because there was no one to press charges against him. Although it was obvious what he did. So now you might say, well, devotees wouldn't do that. This kind of devotees wouldn't do that. But then again, a lot of times this kind of devotees, on a one-to-one basis, when somebody does something wrong to them or harms them, they don't bring any case against it. They forgive them or they distance themselves from them. As soon as you bring spiritual activities into material court cases, things get really sticky and complicated. I saw that personally happen in some of the activities that centered around New Vrindavan. It's a mess, like a little mess, which went on for years and years and years and years and years. So, as the scriptures say, someone may make a devotee their enemy, but the devotee doesn't make anyone their enemy. But then you might say, well, that's just ignorant sentimentality. The point is that a perpetrator of a crime will get punished either by the laws of the state or by the laws of God. If he escapes the laws of the state, he cannot escape the laws of God, that's for sure.
Thank you, Maharaj.
And God, there's an old saying in the Christian tradition where God says, vengeance is mine. You heard that statement. That's a statement in Christianity. Vengeance is mine. I deal out the reactions. So it's still inconclusive, but you get a little idea of how to see things from different angles of vision. But as you go on with a few more of these verses, you'll things start to surface. And there's one purport that Prabhupada really sums everything up. Anything else? Parikshit Prabhu.
Thank you, Maharaj. Yes, Parikshit Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Hare Krishna, daily bodies, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to the Prabhupada. Maharaj,
We had
first
a,
let me.
we had a wonderful program glorifying Bhakti Tirtha Swami today in Mumbai. There were hundreds of devotees who came, and we ran out of time in order to allow all of the devotees to glorify Maharaj. And tonight there's a continuation, which is going on right now, of the same program. But it was great. It was really quite joyful. We ended with a grand feast in Maharaj's honor. So the devotees came. It was really wonderful. Many devotees spoke about their life with Maharaj, along with glorifying his many outstanding qualities and achievements in preaching Krishna consciousness. It's really wonderful. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, very, very, very true. The Buddhists went on back on the there's a Gurudev, they call it Gurudev Global Connect. This is disciples of Bhakti Maharaj, and they just went on and on and on and on about the program and how wonderful it was. They said it was the best one yet. So that was actually wonderful. And Maharaj was on speaking, so we also got nectar from Maharaj himself and other God brothers and God sisters of his. Let me also apologize for my outburst when I said the court is also Maya, but in some sense it's controlled like that. My question is, given what the spiritual implications of reversals that happen in our lives, even given how it is based on, and you said that there'll be more in the text to follow. If it's obvious that something has been done badly to a devotee and is known in public and the police know about it and they expect a court case, should the devotee go on with what the material people expect, that is, go to court, but at the same time in his heart be detached, whatever happens, I know some.
That's a choice they have to make.
Oh, okay.
Some will, maybe some will decide no. That's a choice.
I was just thinking that it may be a little complicated for non-devotees to understand why a devotee that knows that Krishna is the cause of all causes won't press charges. And they think, here they go again.
That's the bottom line. And Krishna is all good at the same time. Then you have to deal with the material energy. Material energy is not, it is a punisher and a rewarder. Material energy will reward you according to your activities, which are in the mode of goodness, and will punish activities in the mode of passion and ignorance. Material energy makes no discrimination.
Thank you very much.
Sukhvaha Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your lotus feet, and all glories to assembled devotees. Thank you so much for this powerful class, and so many powerful points are there in this class. But I'm still confused about not pressing charges against the criminal, because if you see in like Mahabharata Yuddha, Krishna is asking Arjun to fight and kill those people who are not following the religion. And in karma's theory also, it says that if the judge punishes the criminals, he doesn't get any charges. So why should the person who's pressing the charge gets charges? This could be like, if you don't, that person will continue doing the crime, and it will affect so many other innocent people as well, isn't it?
That's what I mentioned that earlier.
Mm.
But a devotee might think, well, actually, I deserve it. And there's a reason why I deserve it. And therefore, he won't implicate the perpetrator.
Hmm. So yeah, okay, the devotee will accept it, that okay, it must be my karma, and that's why I'm suffering. But still, I will not leave that person. I would think that we should bring him in the court, definitely, and stop him doing other karmas.
Like I
Because
said,
then he will not get, that's what it is, isn't it? Then he won't be getting any more karmas when he dies. He suffers his karma now.
well, like I said, even Krishna told, Arjun, you have to fight. They're aggressors.
Hmm.
They try to strip Draupadi naked in the assembly. They tried to kill the Pandavas in so many ways. They tried to usurp their kingdom. So many things, offenses against the Pandavas.
Mm.
And therefore, Krishna told them, yeah, they're aggressors, kill them.
Mm.
And in that same chapter, it mentions in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita in one purport that there are 6 aggressors
Yeah.
that must be killed.
Yes,
One who
yeah.
tries to steal your wife, one who tries to steal your property, one who tries to burn your home. Yeah, there's 6 things that are mentioned. It's in one of the verses in the first chapter.
Yes.
But still, we have this statement by the personality of Godhead, religion, which was confirmed by, no, it was actually the statement was made by Maharaj Parikshit. He said, you are no doubt the personality of religion because you are speaking according to the principle that one who identifies the perpetrator also gets the same amount of suffering that the perpetrator gets. So that's coming from Maharaj Parikshit. That's not a wrong statement. You align that with the principle of justice. That's why Krishna says the laws of karma are so hard to understand. You can't understand anything.
Very hard.
But you have to understand the person who is actually the perpetrator is an instrument. He's an instrument to deliver something to you, because nothing can happen to you unless it's destined to happen. You can't see it. Maybe it's something that you've done in previous lifetimes, or something you've done in this lifetime that you can't recognize. You can't see it. It's not so easy to see. Therefore, a devotee is trinadapi sunichena tayori vasuhishnuna. Amanina mamandadena. Yeah. That's a devotee lives by that quality. And if something is happening to you, that means Krishna either wanted it to happen or allowed it to happen. Now, when we get into the allowing to happen, that means it worked under the guise of the material energy, and therefore there is some karma that is due. If he wants it to happen, that means he's doing it in order to purify you and bring you closer to him in devotional service. So if you want to live peacefully, stop blaming people for all of everything that happens to you.
Okay, Guru Maharaj, if it is little minor things in the social life, we can ignore it. Okay, certain things we can, when it is like the aggression.
I know, I'm not going to tell you you shouldn't act if stuff, just like there is that statement by that one pacifist when he said, I'm never in any case going to do anything on a level of violence. I'm completely nonviolent. So one reporter said to him, my dear sir, if someone comes up to your daughter and tries to violate your daughter, cause harm to your daughter, what will you do? And he said, under no case will I do any violence. The poor reporter said, my dear sir, you are violent. You fail to protect those who need protection.
Yeah, exactly.
But then again, if it happens to you directly, how do you see it? That's different.
Okay. Yes, got it, Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
How do you process it?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj.
Okay, that's Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
Sonal Mataji, please go ahead.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my obeisances. My obeisances to all the assembled devotees as well. Just a question on a slightly different topic. You mentioned during the explanation that we should gradually decrease our material activities and increase our spiritual activities. So just a reflection that material activities, we know it's a time-bound thing that, okay, we have got this much time and we can do it. When it comes to spiritual activity, we just think that it will be, okay, we'll do it tomorrow or the day after tomorrow or next year. So how to change this mentality?
Well, tomorrow never comes. It's always today. Tomorrow is just a concept. If I say, I'm going to do something tomorrow, and then you see me the day after, I said, yeah, I want to do something tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. It's always today. So if you postpone your spiritual life, you're losing the time to actually take advantage of the mercy of the Lord. Because how long do we know how much time we have in this body? Nobody knows. And material energy is very dangerous, and one can be overcome at any time. So spiritual life is now. It's not later. It's not the day after, the year after. It's now. Because postponing simply is Maya's dictation. She's telling you, yeah, you got so many other important things to do. Yeah, you can get to your spiritual life. But then something else will happen. And every time you want to start becoming more serious, something else will come up and challenge that seriousness and make you think, oh man, yeah, I can just postpone it again. It's just the way it is. I've seen that. Just like we're having this retreat coming up in Italy, the first weekend of May. So it's a great opportunity for devotees to come together, hear and chant the glories of the Lord, go deeper into the philosophy, make friends with other devotees, and experience a nice transcendental happiness and experience. Now, each and every devotee who's planning to come will get some challenge by Maya. Everyone. Something will come up simultaneously, some excuse, something will challenge one's plan to take part in such a powerful spiritual event. It'll happen. Happens all the time. And that's Maya testing you. Oh, You're going to make a lot of advancement. Huh? That's your plan. Okay. Well, don't you realize, you're a mother and your children's exams are coming up. And who's going to watch after the kids? And you have to be there. That's one of the excuses. Or family reunion. Oh, the same weekend. And this family reunion hasn't been done for years. Oh my God, yeah. Or what's another one? Oh yeah. I got some examinations on my test and it's at the same time. Or my friend I haven't seen for years is coming the same day to visit. And it goes on, the list goes on. I can think of many more challenging reasons why people are diverted. And they'll come. It's not like it's kind of like just happening. Maya will try to see how serious you are by putting stumbling blocks in your path of devotional service. But I'll give you I heard a nice example today we were listening to. I'm sure you know Parikshit, what's his name? He was in the temple for years in Viranagari. He was from Croatia.
Advaita.
Advaita, yeah.
Yeah. So he was telling the devotees he was speaking, very nice example. He said when a rainstorm, very powerful windstorm comes, there's two animals, there's the cow and the bison. Now, when the rain and the windstorm comes, the cow will run in the opposite direction. But the bison will go in the same direction as the windstorm. But the cow will stay in that windstorm longer because the windstorm will follow that cow, whereas the bison will get through and get out of it by going against it. Get the point? When we face our obstacles and our challenges and our apparent reverses, we actually get through them by the grace of the Lord. When we hide from them, run from them, try to avoid them in different ways, we stay within that and it continues. And we'll get, again, another situation will be put in. So the devotional service really means to accept whatever comes your way as the grace of the Lord, as an opportunity to go deeper into your spiritual life. And that's something that is inauspicious. For a devotee, there is nothing inauspicious because everything is orchestrated by the Lord to bring the devotee closer to him. Even apparent reverses or calamities or difficulties.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Yeah, but for a devotee not serious, then they will go the other way. Thank you, Sonal.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Silpesh Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Noblest Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj, is developing more love for Krishna an antidote to all this suffering that Maya causes us? And if it is, why can't we just have a shortcut and develop that within our hearts? Why are we so challenged all the time?
That's why I'm asking you why. What's the problem?
Exactly. It's like, it should be like that, but it's not.
Spiritual life is easy. Material life is difficult. But when we mix in material life with spiritual life, it becomes difficult. Spiritual life is easy. Chant Hare Krishna. When you feel happy, dance. Eat some nice food. Read some nice books. Associate with nice, lovely people. Worship the Lord in different ways. It's easy. Spiritual life is very easy. But then again, that Maya is out there always trying to get involved with our spiritual activities and put a little bit of the material touch into it. When we allow her to come in, and then we have to struggle in order to continue in our spiritual life. But it's basically easy. And love of God is the natural constitutional position. Nityasiddha Krishna Prema, Savukarunai, Shravanadi Siddhi Chitte, Kodiye Udoy. That in the hearts of all living beings, pure love for Krishna exists. It's there. It just has to be uncovered. So we have to be in our spiritual life. Prabhupada said, spiritual life is like shaving with a razor. If you're a little inattentive in your spiritual life, just like if you're a little inattentive when you're shaving with a sharp razor, then there's some cut, there's some slip. So Maya is always trying to slip us up, trip us up, causing us to. She knows what you're attached to, and she knows how to bring that out more and more in your life, making it seem more and more important. And if you get rid of one attachment, then she'll work on the other one you got. She won't leave you alone until you are fully surrendered. When you're fully surrendered, she comes up and offers her obeisances to you. She gives you a garland. She says, congratulations, you've graduated. You are now a liberated soul. Bhukti and mukti. Prabhupada talks about Bilba Mangala Thakur. He makes one prayer. He says, now that I have achieved the lotus feet of the Lord, bhukti and mukti are standing at my door waiting and inviting me. Would you like some material happiness? Would you like some liberation? They come as followers of devotional service. It's automatic. You want to be materially happy? Be Krishna conscious. That's all. Because happiness covers all areas of life, not just, your relationship with Krishna. Because Krishna, for a serious devotee, manifests himself in everything he does or she does. Krishna is always there with the devotee. So everything becomes spiritualized. Even ordinary activities.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Well, we should always be thinking, when can I be with Krishna? When can I actually serve Krishna without any difficulties, without any inebrities, without any hesitation? When am I going to actually become serious? That's what we should be praying for.
Maharaj, I have 3 questions from Rishabh Prabhu. If it's okay with you, I will ask at least a few questions. He's saying if time permits.
Yeah, go ahead.
Each one, I will go in a reverse way maybe. Each question is, we often quote from Bhagavad Gita, but not so much from Uddhav Gita, from Srimad Bhagavatam. What is the difference between these two Gita?
We
often quote from Bhagavad Gita, but not from the Uddhav Gita, from Srimad Bhagavatam. So he just want to understand the difference between these two Gitas.
Bhagavad Gita and Uddhava Gita is the same philosophy, but in Uddhava Gita, it's that same philosophy taken a step higher. The same topics are there, but more intricacy and more elevation of knowledge is given to each of those topics. And that's spoken by Krishna. Uddhava Gita is spoken by Krishna. As Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Krishna, Krishna takes that same knowledge to a higher level. That's all. That's Uddhava Gita. Same topics are there. And so what's his question?
He just wanted to understand the difference between these two Gita.
Yeah. The topics are not different. The depth of the knowledge of each of the topics is more in the Uddhava Gita. Krishna gives it just general principles. He doesn't go so deep into the principles.
Another question, Maharaj, is how to know if we think we are spiritually growing and when we are actually growing.
When you look at the material world and you vomit, then you know you're making advancement. Then you're fixed. You think, boy, material life it's just a big burden, that's all. It says for the materialists, his mind is a burden. For the spiritualist, his body is a burden. The devotee's mind is happy. The materialist's mind is miserable. The devotee's body, he's got to drag himself through all of the activities of living in this material world. So his body sometimes gives him a lot of trouble. But he knows it's just the body, that's all. So Sri Devi's still laughing about that. Yeah. When you look at the picture of your old girlfriend and then you start, breakfast starts coming back up again. Raghunath Das Goswami gives the answer in the Bhagavatam. He looks at everything in the material world and everything looks pale, lifeless, useless, miserable. So when you see everything in that way, it's all miserable. Then Haribo, you're in. But then you have to live here, and you don't kind of like just say, well, I wish I could die. No. So you take the lifeless material energy and you give it life by connecting it to Krishna in devotional service. But be careful. When you're connecting it, don't start liking it again. Just realize it has some purpose to serve the Lord. That's all. The only purpose of the material energy is to give the facility of the living entity to have something to offer to the Lord. That's all. They say if you want to show love for someone, you have to offer something. So we offer some words, we offer some gifts, we offer prasad. So when offering and doing devotional service, we use what Krishna has given us to the service of the Lord. But we don't think, oh, it's mine, it belongs to me, and I'm going to enjoy it. I'll give a little bit to Krishna. Giving a little bit to Krishna, enjoying it, that's karma yoga. That's not bhakti. Renouncing all of it is jnana yoga, with no understanding of devotion. And bhakti means, bhakti means nirbande Krishna sambande, yukta vairagya uchtate. That use everything that one comes across in the service of the Lord. Not that you have to go look for things. Whatever comes by way of natural arrangements, use. Use your time, use your energy, use your words, use your intelligence, use your material possessions. Use everything in the service of the Lord. That's bhakti. When you see something, you say, well, this belongs to Krishna, but he's given it to me to use, that's all. And Krishna takes care of his devotees. Don't think, well, I'm using everything in his service, I have nothing. No, he's gonna give you whatever you need to live nicely without struggling. But when you start taking possession and you start thinking it's mine, then you're in a consciousness of material life again. It's not yours. Nothing belongs to you, not even your body. That was given to you by Krishna through the agency of your parents. That's all. The parents became the instrument by which material energy, Daiva Karma, Daiva Natrena, mentions in the Bhagavatam. The material energy is already formulating your next body in this material world. As you're working in this world, and when you have no more material desires, there's no more material bodies. And then you're liberated, then you go back to the spiritual world. So it's the consciousness that everything belongs to the Lord, and I belong to the Lord, and I'm going to use whatever he's given me in the service of him. He'll take care of me. He'll give me whatever I need, place to live, maybe family members, friends, everything will come by the way of the Lord. But a devotee doesn't become possessive, thinking it's mine. It's foolish to think anything is yours, because when you come into this world, you got nothing. And when you leave with nothing. So, in the meantime, you're saying, oh, this is mine. Who made it yours? That's your mind. That's all, saying it's mine. That's all. It comes by way of the grace of your activities, and Krishna gives it to you to use. If you misuse it, then you get entangled in it. Anything you try to enjoy in this world causes you to be controlled by that same object by which you try to enjoy. When you try to serve, then you free yourself from that entanglement, and you still have you still enjoy the happiness of that activity, because it's no longer done in the mood of getting something, but in the mood of offering something. And the soul's nature is to serve. But don't worry, you'll get whatever you need and more. Devotees are not poor. That's for sure. Devotees are not, living on the streets in poverty. But at the same time, they know whatever they have is by the grace of the Lord. That's all. It belongs to the Lord. Okay, Sukhavak, you got that? Sukhabaha?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, properly. Got it. Just needed some reminder from you.
That's why I'm here.
I know. We are so lucky to have you, Guru Maharaj. Seriously.
But then when you turn off the computer, you forget everything. It shouldn't be like that.
Guru Maharaj, that's why Vrindavanath Prabhu is so mercifully recording it. So I can keep on listening to the recording.
Computer recording, Mataji. I'm not doing anything. I'm just.
You're the one who's pressing the switch, Prabhuji.
I think we all need to keep the cleaners ready today, because whatever as Maharaj is saying today, keep everything out, and how to see.
But there's this, I forgot the story behind it, but there's 3 statues. And so they take a straw and they push it in the ear of one statue. It comes out the other side. And then they go to the next statue. They push it in the ear and it doesn't come out at all. And they go to the third statue. They push it in the ear and it comes out the mouth. So which one are you?
Whichever you want me to be, Guru Maharaj. Not the first one, definitely.
The third one we want everyone to be is that whatever you take in, give back.
Give back, yeah, I know.
That's called compassion.
True.
So Maharaj,
Thank you,
the
Maharaj.
second, sorry. So
Sorry,
Maharaj, the second one is selfishness.
The second one is, in one sense, doesn't know what to do with it. But in due course of time, they'll forget it. It's like it says in the Krishna book, a clay pot with water in it, but has a slight little crack somewhere. So you can fill the pot up, but because the crack is so thin and so even unnoticeable, you're wondering after some time the water's becoming less. So unused knowledge is lost. When you use it, then you retain it. And the more you use it, the more you retain it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj, for really, I would say 1 week before Gaur Purnima, it's really powerful messages today on graduations, on thinking how to see the Maya. Lots of really takeaways, at least for me. I'm sure for all devotee also, lots of good takeaways. Also, parameters how to check our spiritual progress. So that's good. Any last question? Any from any devotee before, because it's already 23 minutes over. Okay, no. So Maharaj, if it's okay with you, we can close this today.
Yeah.
So Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnav Brind ki jai.
Lord Premanande, Hari Hari Hari.
For today, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
Hari
Maharaj, such a powerful class yet again. Thank you so much for your mercy. Hare Krishna.
Jai Gurudev.
Hare Krishna. Such a powerful